Candyman came.
Come here, little girl.
The Candyman came.
9 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order. Note the presence of a quorum, and we do have all commissioners present. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to everyone, guests, staff, visitors. Guest staff visitors present with us this morning. Before we begin, we'd just like to have a moment of silence for State Representative Michelle Hortman and her husband. Thank you. First item would be approval of the agenda. We do have one addition, an add-on, item 5D as in David, and that would be a boat and water safety grant.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion approving the agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay, a motion was made. Commissioner Sample supported Commissioner LaVisca. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby approved as amended. Public comment. Are there any comments or requests from visitors this morning? Is there any public comment? Third call for any public comment. Hearing none, we'll go on to consent agenda. Barring questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Carney moves the consent agenda. Support.
I'll second.
Motion supported by Commissioner Westerland. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Consent agenda is hereby approved. On to 4-H. Juliana, welcome. You'd just come up to the mic or?
Morning.
Good morning. April, did you get my PowerPoint by chance?
And Tony. And all these peeps.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. I'll let you go first.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tony Hansen, Regional Director with the University of Minnesota Extension.
Welcome again, Tony.
Happy to be with you all here this morning to provide a fantastic update on the Aitkin County 4-H program. My part today is just to remind folks of the context in which 4-H falls within Extension in Aitkin County here. And so looking at our map, Juliana is part of a region for 4-H, the Northeast region. Of course, I'm working with her closely in supporting our extension services here in Aitkin County, but she is also supported by a regional team of 4-H. And so while you see her as the familiar face in serving our Aitkin County youth and 4-H volunteers and answering all of our general inquiries here at the Extension office and supporting our general services we provide there, she has these regional educators behind the scenes helping her to make all of the things happen, not only with our county fair every year, but all of the fantastic leadership opportunities for our youth, supporting the finance and operations pieces with the 4-H program, risk management, and many other things like that. And so that's just a snapshot of where she falls in within our Northeast region team here. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues to share more about their work with the 4-H program.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm super excited to be back here and to share some program updates as to what we've been doing. I do have some guests behind me. I'll introduce those in a couple of slides here. But just a reminder, 4-H is about positive youth development. We want kids to have positive experiences, learn from those experiences, and then apply them to the real world and what they do every day. So 4-H is currently thriving in our program. When I visited you in October of last year, we had 182 youth participating, and we now have 191. And we also added a volunteer as well. 4-H is growing in total, but here in Aitkin, we are seeing it thrive. We're also reaching some new audiences as well. So here's an updated graph from last October. Currently in 2024 to 2025 program year, we have 48 new members, and 29 of those members are first-generation 4-Hers, meaning no one in their immediate family has ever had experience in the 4-H program. So we're broadening our horizon with who we're reaching with our programs. We have our big showcase coming up, the county fair. I'm sure you see lots of green clovers over at the county fair, but there's a lot of learning that goes in beforehand. So up on the screen here, you can just see some of the events and the amount of youth that participate in those events. So for example, we have Project Bowl. We had 2 teams this year, which is an increase from last year of 1. We had our fruit sale again. We had 53 families participate. Our Spring Fling event had 20 youth attend and 22 volunteers and community teachers as well. I worked with the Aitkin Youth Center this spring to do a partnership in which I brought 4-H programming to those youth, and we were able to reach 15 new teenagers in that time. For our livestock quality assurance and ethics program that youth are taking to help make sure that they maintain those ethical practices as well and taking the best care of their animals, we recertified 12 new youth this year. We're also in the middle of project practices, weather permitting. We have our horse open ride nights. We have our dog training practices. We also have a robust shooting sports program and of course rabbit agility as well. We also, this winter, had our Cloverbud Project Club, in which Cloverbuds from Aitkin County gathered here at the courthouse, and then were connected to other youth throughout the Northeast region via Zoom, and they were able to create projects all together and then show them off to each other in different counties via Zoom.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner.
Your shooting sports,
Yes.
where are you doing that at?
Yeah, so our shooting sports takes place in a couple different areas. Our archery is usually held at the fairgrounds. And then we have air rifle, air pistol, which is held at Wealthwood. And then we also have our trap team that's also at Wealthwood as well. So it kind of goes back and forth.
Okay, are we doing anything with Hill City or McGregor?
McGregor is part of that. Yep. Hill City, I haven't reached out to as much. Grand Rapids is a little closer, so we kind of borrow along the county lines. We have a lot of youth from like the Deerwood and Crosby area that come over here. And we do have some Hill City youth that choose to participate in Grand Rapids. So it depends on what the family's comfortable with, the commute, and where they want to participate.
And I ask that because the Minnewawa Sportsman's Club range south of McGregor, that's where they have the high school trap team that just competed in state again, and they did very well. So I'd like to see, and they got a beautiful archery range down there. And I know Hill City has the Sportsman's Club up there to get more reach for some of our youth in them areas.
Absolutely. I will connect with them and reach out to them for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, not a problem. And then also we had some youth for the first time participate in some of our regional and state events in a while. So we had the Blue event, which is building leadership and understanding. And then we also had Yellow, which is youth exploring learning and leadership opportunities. Blue was held at Deep Portage this year for youth that wanted to go. That one's more of a regional event, so they'll have a couple different events in each region to make sure that they allow youth from all over to come participate. And then Yellow is a state event, so this year they met on the University of Minnesota Morris campus and allowed youth to not only learn leadership, but also explore the campus as well for future planning. So what is it like participating in these events? I have some youth behind me that are going to answer some questions for you, but I also have my intern for this summer as well, who will also answer some of those questions from her perspective. So I will let you introduce yourselves. Slide on over.
Hi, I'm Camille Marshik, and I show a lot of animals.
What's it, Camille?
Camille.
Okay.
I'm Henry Nico, and I show a lot of animals too.
And hi, I'm the intern. I'm Abigail Muncie, and I was also a part of the 4-H program here in Aitkin.
Nice.
Welcome.
All right. First question. What do you all do at like a project bowl practice or a dog practice or shooting sports?
We usually play some games, like at rabbit bowl practice. We usually can play Memory, Candyland. We play Blookits for our online ones. Yeah.
Henry, anything to add?
And if you'd like to use a microphone, the people online can hear you.
We also usually do like serious rounds too, so we actually do what we're doing in state and regionals.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. So what was it like your first time competing in Project Bowl?
Very scary and nervous.
Kind of like speaking in the mic.
Kind of overwhelming at some points, like when we do the second round.
All right. What was your favorite part of Project Bowl?
Seeing my team go to state for Project Bowl.
Nice.
All right.
Good job. Just going to states, fun, hang out, and
Cool.
All right, Abigail, I'll toss some questions to you. Attending all of the summer practices, what are some of the opportunities that you're learning about that you didn't participate in as a youth?
Really everything. Juliana has brought so much to this program that I didn't get to participate in when I was a part of the program. So being able to like extend that to the new youth and like see them grow from the first practice to where we are now is awesome. Literally every single kid has grown in amazing ways, especially like at dog practice with obedience. By the end of the night, it's like a brand new dog. It's amazing.
And then I'll give this answer to all of you. What are you looking forward to at the fair?
showing my cows.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Having the popsicles.
Let's go.
So this is my second fair, being able to be like on this side of things. So being more comfortable in like a new role is very exciting because then I feel like I can provide more to these families.
Awesome.
Henry, are you going to help with the tractor parade this year? Mm-hmm. Good. You're doing a good job there.
Thanks.
All right. And then just a quick reminder as to why we do these showcases like the county fair. You heard about all of this learning here, and we want to have a space for youth to be able to share what they've learned, to share what they've been doing all year. So it's in a time for them to be able to reflect on what they've been doing. It's a time for them to share what they've been learning. And really, it's a time for them to apply what they've been doing and share with us, okay, you've done this, you've learned all these other pieces, now what are you gonna do? So it's an opportunity for them to look into the future as well. With that, we've also seen some growth as well. With the increase in youth participation, we've also seen an increase in youth that are entering into the fair. So when I was first hired in 2022, we had 80 youth that participated in the fair. The next year in 2023, we had 102 youth. Wow. In 2024, we had 118, and this year we're looking at 132 youth that are participating. So our barns are going to be rather squished, and friends are going to get even friendlier, I think, this year. We also have an uptick in our dog show as well. Last year we had about 6 youth participate, and this year we're looking at about 10. So we have, you can see some of the learning that's been going on this year as well. But we're seeing an uptick in those numbers too. With that being said, we also rely a lot on volunteers in this program, and we're really looking for you all as commissioners to support us. So I came up with 3 really easy ways for you all to do that. One is to judge our costume classes. Last year, we had a couple commissioners come out and judge them, and from what I heard from some feedback, it was a great time. So this year, we've decided to make it even better and have one giant costume class showcase. So all species will all be dressed up, and that will be Thursday at 6:30, July 10th. So if you're available, we'd love to have you all there. Another thing you can do is grab some ice cream at the Malt Wagon. There's plenty of flavors. It's always good every year. And then you can also attend our Blue Ribbon auction. This is an opportunity for youth to have some funds that allow them to participate and continue their participation in the livestock program. While we're not selling the animal itself, you can think of it more as a sponsorship for that youth to continue in that animal project. And that will be Friday, July 11th at 6 p.m.
Best investment I ever made, buying kids' ribbons.
It is, the kids really appreciate it, and as do we, and it's always a great time. We do have a reception afterwards where you can sit and mingle with the kids. We have some light food available as well. So I definitely recommend, if you can't make it to the auction, definitely come a little later and just check it out and see what all happens. And that's all I have for you today. Do you have any questions about the 4-H program?
Commissioners?
I would like to know what Camille shows.
So I show rabbit. I'm really big into the rabbit project. I show chickens, turkeys, beef cow, horse, mini horse, and then all my non-livestock projects and dog.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Good job.
No goats?
No,
Mom won't let me have them anymore.
Okay.
I don't blame her.
That's great. Good job.
Commissioners, any other comments?
Thank you.
Just that getting to judge that costume class was really fun. It
Yes.
was definitely worth doing it if
Yep.
anybody has a chance to.
Well, thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for having us here.
We appreciate all you guys do and your endeavors, and we're here to support you.
Thank you. Do you want this?
Is DJ?
DJ currently. We're a little bit ahead, but
That's okay.
Well,
can we switch to,
let's
Suggestion to go
fast forward a little bit to yours, Mark. Is that okay?
absolutely. We'll get a couple of these knocked off for you. First one that we have is the final round of the Business Development and Recreation Grant for this year. I had a couple of those come in. Here he comes around the corner. Committee was unanimous in recommendation with Commissioner Sample abstaining on the Forgotten Heroes Ranges and Retreat application. The committee requests approval to award the following grants for Downtown Aitkin Retail Committee, the Sampaguita Caps for their walk, run, rally, and Forgotten Heroes Ranges and Retreat for Kids Day on that retreat. So that is what the Economic Development Committee is requesting at this time.
Commissioners, barring any questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Commissioner?
since I'm the executive director of Forgotten Heroes, I'd like to abstain from this vote, period.
Okay.
I'd move the support, Mr.
I'll
Chair.
second that.
Okay, motion on the floor by Commissioner LaVisca, Approving the recommendations, a motion supported by Commissioner Carney. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. We'll call the question. Commissioner LaVisca?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerland?
Aye.
Commissioner Carney?
Aye.
Commissioner Sample?
Abstain.
I will support the motion. The motion carries on a 4-1 vote, with the one being an abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Now we'll reverse the tape. DJ, you're on board. Morning.
And I think, yeah, the first one was the condition, or a limited use permit. This is on the Mille Lacs ATV Trail. The work that's been going on right now is the section that is west of State Highway 65. And if you're familiar with the area, the west White Pine Trail comes and it hits 65, and then it's actually a jaunt down to the south and then over to the east, where you pick up the east White Pine Trail. So the proposed ATV trail is actually, when it hits 65, will actually run south for a couple hundred yards before it actually then will cross over into cross State Highway 65, and then into that east White Pine Trail. So in doing our due diligence, we were required, in order to work in that right of way for that crossing, required to get a limited use permit from MnDOT. So this is that application process, or part of that application process is getting board resolution supporting the application for that limited use permit. So that is where we are at with this. So basically, looking to adopt that resolution to submit the paperwork for that limited use permit in the right of way.
Comments, questions, commissioners?
I've got a question or a comment.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, DJ, so when we do this, is MnDOT now on board with what we're doing? Or are where are we at with that?
Yeah, with the MnDOT section, they are okay with this crossing. With the crossing, it's essentially a permit to cross the state highway. The trail itself is, when it runs south from the West White Pine Trail, is actually not in the MnDOT right of way. It is just that crossing that is going to be in that right of way, and they are fine with the crossing. But as far as having the actual trail in their right of way, and specifically on the Highway 47 section, we haven't heard anything from them on that, and we have not pursued any other additional correspondence with MnDOT for that section.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Westerland?
So where does this, I mean, is this hooking up to the Northwoods at all?
It will be in the Northwoods system.
Okay,
Yeah, yep. The Northwoods ATV Trail is kind of a blanket term for the entire system.
yeah.
And it includes, obviously, the 72 miles of north and south Sioux line that are in the county, as well as all the other trails that come off of it. And then also trails in Cass County, as well as Carlton County, as well as Itasca County, have also been dubbed as part of that Northwoods Trail system.
So does the White Pine, do they apply for grants yet?
I don't know if,
Casey and,
yeah,
yeah,
I don't believe they are not a,
5013C, I suppose.
well, what they would do, as far as the club would be concerned, they would be going through our office, through Chris Johnson, to
Yeah.
apply for those grant and aid funds. And I don't think that they have done any of that
Okay,
with that. So, and that's part of the contention with the White Pine Riders and with the White Pine Trail.
right.
is how much of it is maintained. And of course, the riders, they want to maintain as much as possible. And now when we get to points with limited funding, you know, the DNR and the grant and aid program may not be as excited about funding maintenance for a half-mile trail that just dead ends.
They have just gotten their own funds for so long. It's like,
Yeah,
gosh, they should have been applying for that, and
yeah.
maybe I'll give Casey a call again. I thought they'd applied for it at some point, but
They might have.
yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Where is it, Lori?
White Pine, town, or the White Pine Township, it's off of 65 there.
Oh,
Kind of by 2 and 65.
Yeah,
East
north
End?
north of 2 there, and
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
so.
so, yeah, thank you. I
But,
just.
yep.
Commissioner Carney?
They do good.
Yeah, I just have one question, and with a little historical background also. A couple of years ago, we had an accident with a snowmobile on 169 up by the bar by Swatera.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't very well marked. Is this going to have marking on the highway and have marking on the trail to let the drivers on the highway know that there's a crossing coming up and that there's sufficient marking on the trails?
Yes, yeah, and that was one of the points that that MnDOT had mentioned when we were soliciting comments on the EAW.
Yeah.
Was that signage? So there will be signage on the trail itself, and then if you take County 3 and going east towards Sathers, right before the bridge,
Right.
there's some signs that say caution ATV traffic. We will have signs on the road with that too, and it'd be similar to up in right before Swatera. The Sioux line crosses 169 in there too, and there's signage in there. Another item that MnDOT had pointed out was they wanted to make sure that that vehicles cannot get in there. So we mentioned putting bollards up, metal bollards that we've done in other spots,
Right.
to limit the width of the vehicle that can actually get into that approach.
access approach. Yeah.
Yep. So,
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
yep.
So,
Thank you, EJ.
I guess I have one more question.
Yeah, go
Is MnDOT going to approve this? Are they just, you
Yeah.
think this is all gonna be okay? All right.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
I'm assuming it's okay. The engineers have been in contact with them. Yeah, it isn't, what is different from this is it's basically, it's a crossing the state highway.
Forest road.
It isn't a permanent trail in their right of way. It's merely a crossing that they've issued limited use permits in many other areas, and specifically, like I said, the one up in Swatera where it goes over State Highway 169. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further questions? Not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval, Commissioner Westerland, support.
Support.
Motion supported by Commissioner Sample. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried. Let's, we got a couple of minutes, let's just go to your, purchase of the dump trailer.
Okay, yep, we can skip ahead. This is a dump trailer that was in the budget for 2025. It was in the capital improvement budget. We had budgeted $15,000 for it. Typically, I probably would have just put it on the consent agenda as it was a budgeted item, and we went out for bids on it. But we did not accept the low bid on this one. We had lower bids that were not accepted. However, they didn't meet the specs that we had. We were looking for a 12-foot long one. We had a lower spec for a 14-footer. And then we also wanted 24-inch sides on the dump trailer, and we had a lower bid that had the 22-inch sides. So the bid, it is within the budget. We did get seven different bids for that dump trailer. We had some that were higher, some that were lower. But as far as the actual bids that are meeting the specs that we were looking for, this was the one that we felt would be the best, so.
Questions? Not, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Chair.
Motion approving Commissioner Carney, support.
Support.
Oh, go ahead.
Either way.
Motion supported by Commissioner LaBisca. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Now, on to item 4B, public hearing. We're at the 9:30 level here. The floor is now open for public comment. The public hearing is officially commenced. Is there any public comment, either here or online?
Somebody's coming, oh, is that Bentley?
Yeah. We'll hold off till this gentleman,
Be up for the next.
who's actually the chair of the Aitkin Township, Terry Bentley.
Jesse, go.
Come on, Terry.
Can you scroll down, please?
Terry, welcome. Just to bring you up to speed, we are at the public hearing for the Pine Knoll Public Water Access. And we are presently taking public comment. Is there any public comment on this issue?
If it's public comment,
Terry, if you could come up to the microphone.
We should have just had you come walk up this way.
Thanks.
Good morning again. Terry Bentley. I'm chairman of the Aitkin Township Board of Supervisors. And I'm just here to listen in on the public hearing. It's been a pleasure working with Dennis and working with him on a potential agreement, for right-of-way and whatever there. So anyways, I'm here in support of it and just to represent the township. Anybody have any questions?
Commissioners?
I guess you have no concerns at all about this?
Personally, I have no concerns. Township is in support of it. We're just awaiting for the results of the public hearing, whatever, before we sign off on any maintenance agreements and stuff like that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
And I would add too, I included it in the comments. We did get some comments via email that have been addressed. I did not receive any other comments from the time I submitted this in to get onto the board agenda until the public hearing. So, and we are more than happy to address all of the concerns that were voiced through or that came in via the email. So,
DJ, when will it be put to the question for approval?
for approval of the access?
Yes.
That's a good question. We'd like to get started this fall. And is that a request that the board wants to see?
Well, normally, when we have a public hearing,
Yep,
it precedes board action.
correct. Yep.
That was the impetus of my question.
It would be, next board meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my question.
Yep.
Last call for public comment on this issue. Hearing no further public comment, plus the written comments will be admitted to the record. We will officially close this public hearing.
Sounds good.
Hey, DJ, as long as we got you up here,
Yeah.
how were the campgrounds with the two storms that went through?
Well, we had, 3 trees down in Aitkin that the crews were out cleaning. One of them up in Berglund that the crew was up there taking care of yesterday. And then a lot of trees down on the trails on the Sioux line and on the Raby line. We got guys that are up there now on that. The Jacobson one, we didn't get a chance. Nobody was up in that direction yesterday, so Brian was up there this morning to take a look at that. But that has a lot of older aging aspen in and around the campground that we are actually scheduling a timber harvest to get it out of there. So I'm expecting probably later this week we'll have crews up in Jacobson cleaning up some of those trees as well. So yeah, yep, a bit of damage. Certainly nothing like Beltrami County and Bemidji. So we're thankful for that. But yeah, we went through a few tanks of chainsaw gas yesterday.
I can imagine.
So
Noisy.
Any other questions for DJ? If not, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks,
DJ.
Non-do Economic Development Coordinator again. Strategic plan.
Yes, and thank you. You have in front of you the copy of the strategic plan with some of the updates. As this one is our first one, I don't plan to take you through each individual item, but I did want to let you know that the items that are scheduled for 2025 to start have started. They're in progress. Many of them are complete. If we had to do, for example, we had to do an event one per year, we've done that event already. Thank you to Commissioner Westerlin and LaVisca again for doing that event, and that's been taken care of for the year. And I think one of the important things that I do want to tell you is that all of the department heads are still behind the program, doing the program. They have it in their minds of getting that done. So I think that's good. I think we've got some good progress going on some of those things, and we'll start showing those results more as we get further along into the quarterly updates. But as requested by the commissioners, we're giving you a quarterly update, and here it is. So we wanted to make sure we're in front of you. Wendy Bright, one of the Revitalization Core team members, is also in the audience if there's any questions for
Wendy.
any one of us.
Come on up if you want to make any comments.
Don't be shy.
She's gonna be mad now.
If you show up, you gotta talk.
Well, I guess I don't really have any comments. Just that, yeah, we are still, meeting. The core team meets every other week. And it's all fresh in our minds, and we're all still really excited about the whole revitalization process. So there are a lot of workouts that are undergoing, and a lot on the list, and they're going to be tackled. And yeah, so we're still going strong.
If I might.
Yeah.
That's all we ask.
Yep.
Keep
So my only
revitalized.
question is the upbeat and tempo the same as coming out of the gate now that we're proceeding?
Yeah,
That
I
the
think so.
participation and motivation and is it still there?
I feel it, yeah.
Good.
And we have a really strong core team. It's actually gotten larger, and we have more people coming
Awesome.
to our meetings. So summer now is busy, so there have been some meetings that we have to postpone and stuff. But otherwise, yeah, no, I feel like it's still going strong.
Good.
Yeah, as long as we keep everybody going and sending updates and
All right.
keeping it all fresh in everybody's minds, it'll be good.
Excellent.
Is there a component of the overall strategic plan that seems to have more emphasis at this point?
It's a lot of the economic development items that we're currently working on, and, to give you the annual numbers is not really something that we can do at this point.
Right.
But I think those economic development, I know that our Human Resources Department has jumped on their goals and getting those things complete. There are workouts, as Wendy mentioned, scheduled for how we onboard our employees, something they've wanted to look at in human resources for a while. And I think that's something that Bobby has welcomed for us to do.
Good.
So we'll continue those on that path.
Something I'd like to mention, I hope I can mention it, is that one of our team members had said that in interviews, they've actually been hearing from applicants that they've heard about our revitalization program here, and that's what encouraged them to apply. So I think that speaks huge.
Yep, that's great.
I got one question, Mr. Chair. So do the employees feel like they have more input?
I haven't personally asked, but I can see it. I mean, I can see that they're more comfortable with it. But I haven't really
mean,
had
that
any
was a
one-on-one
big-
conversations with anybody, but
That was a big push, was to build a team, to get the team involved.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel in our office, on our floor, that people are more comfortable just kind of speaking their mind, and asking questions. The big thing I think is asking big questions like, why are we doing this? Or they're just more comfortable doing that. So.
Yeah. If I can, a couple of examples. One of the things in the strategic plan is to do a baseline survey and then see a progress survey. So that's being created right now. And then in the workouts themselves, one of the points of the revitalization was to get the folks to talk to each other and do those workouts instead of having a big group come in and have to do something that might be simple for a team to do. And we're seeing a lot of the workouts being solved within the department itself, which shows that there's more collaboration.
And I guess that's why my question, Mark and Wendy, is the biggest part for this program to work, in my opinion, is communication. And I just want to make sure that they feel comfortable with that communication, because that's the only way you get things changed.
Yeah, I feel it.
Thank you.
And hopefully with the advent of a new administrator coming on board, I think we should fabricate some sort of an introduction seminar.
Our past county administrator left some really good notes in my office that I'm responsible for going through with the new county administrator. So that person will be, up to speed on what it is, and it's all of our hope that we'll carry that forward.
Yes, in my several brief conversations with him, very, very supportive of this.
I know the incoming was excited about what we've been doing.
Yeah,
That's
that's
revitalization and the economic development, so I think he'll hit the ground running with it.
Like it. I like it. A special thank you, if I can, one last time to Wendy, because I know she didn't plan on speaking, and she loves it when I do that to her, so.
Here to support Mark.
Wendy, I appreciate
well, since you're here, Wendy,
Thanks.
You feel more comfortable.
how did the fundraiser go? There seemed to be a lot of people in spite of the heat and the humidity.
Yeah, I unfortunately think that did have a little effect on a lower attendance than what we were hoping, but it was still a great event. I think we haven't done the final numbers yet, but I think we were close to probably 250 to 300 people. So hopefully that, I do know that we did raise money. I mean, we definitely did not lose money. Thankful for all of our supporters, all of our sponsorships. Because basically every ticket sold was money into Long Lake Conservation Foundation's bank, which can be, of course, be used for Long Lake Conservation Center. So yeah, it was a good event. The heat did put a little damper on it, but there were still plenty of people there, and we raised some funds. And I think word has gotten out about Nature Rocks, and I think every year people know more and more about it, and hopefully it just builds every year.
You should try to get like Blake Sheldon.
We just, right.
Yeah, it was a great event. I popped out
Yeah,
for a little
I
bit,
couldn't
and it
go.
was, just to be able to talk to the people was great.
Yes. I just wish we could control the weather.
I know. Last year was like
Last year was,
dancing in the water.
yeah, it has not been on our side,
That
but,
was fun. I like them.
but we make the best of it, and
That's right.
people are still very generous, so that's all we can ask for.
Downtown was really booming Saturday,
Yep. It
from
was
early
fun.
on, actually.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank
thanks,
you.
Wendy.
Thanks, Wendy.
And related updates.
Yeah, just a couple if I could. I think we have to recognize and congratulate Commissioner Carney on his election as director. of
Yes,
District 1.
congratulations.
We'll do that. And then just some notes of information for you from economic development, just one large one. The apartment building that we have scheduled for over here by Riverwood has a groundbreaking on August 13th.
Wow,
So they'll
good.
be announcing that out, that will happen, scheduled.
Yay.
Yes.
Mark, which of the two, will that be the senior or the workforce?
It'll be the workforce first, as originally planned.
What side of the road is that one on?
That's on the south
Okay.
side of the road.
The 13th.
That'll be the first one, and then immediately after construction, they'll start the second one, so.
I have had numerous people ask who they can contact to reserve.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually have a sign up with the phone number. You could direct them to me. I can get them that
Okay.
number for sure. INH Development is taking reservations on that stuff now. I know that they did say they had a few already in that were ready to move in when it's constructed.
And there were garages too.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I had heard actually that they were already starting to get applicants for the senior housing, which is scheduled for the second build, so.
Yeah.
When tentatively would the second one,
It would, if everything goes as scheduled, it would be constructed through probably June of '26, and the other one would start in that same summertime of next year. So
Okay.
it'd be
Takes a whole year to
concurrent with
build
the
them?
other.
Takes a while, especially with winter.
Takes a while.
yeah.
But still,
That's
gosh, I see them
45.
popping up all over.
But as we know, housing is the most important thing that's needed here in our area,
It
so.
is.
Congratulations to them for getting that almost to the finish line, and we'll put some shovels in the ground.
Now let's see what we can do about McGregor.
Yep.
And Mark, as long as we're on the subject of housing,
Yes, sir.
I wanna put a summit together with the landowners over there in the McGregor area.
Yeah.
The Bones and Nicole and Kettleback and a few others.
Okay.
We need to make movement, and we gotta get ordinances changed, cause it's killing us that our county says 5 acre ordinances.
Yeah.
It's not it's not beneficial when all you're gonna get's 8, where if we were in the city and we could have 2 acre lots or 1 acre lots, they'd get 40 or 20 versus 8. And these people are taking a big step out with their money. So I'd like to set something up with you, planning and zoning, and we need to work on getting these people, because they're right on the verge of wanting to do it, but it's not affordable with 5 acre plots.
Right. And if you look
Understood.
at, if I might, Chair.
You bet.
If you look at the other counties, the way they're doing it in the housing development, you're right, they're not 5 acre lots. So obviously, there's some process that our departments need to look at as how are the other counties doing it also. And they're doing it well within the 1 acre for the housing development, because it is a
Understood.
big roadblock.
Understood. I will get that group together. I'll get with planning and zoning and start that process.
Thank you, Commissioner Snell.
The good news, as you know, as a committee member of economic development, we have funding that we can use, and we are prepared to use that. We've done all the background documents to use it. Now we just need to have those projects come forward and say they want to, and any way we can help support that, we will, for sure.
And I think, Mark, what you'll find is that the 4 or 5 developers that have acreage right outside the city of McGregor, it's gonna excuse me, it's gonna cost a lot of money to bring that city sewer and water, even at half mile.
Right.
And then we also need, I've been going to the township boards and talking to them, because they're gonna lose one parcel. They're gonna lose $700 a year in taxes. So they're fighting, letting them come in, but what we're gonna gain
Is the tax revenue.
is the
also
tax
for everybody
revenue
else.
is gonna help, which will eventually help them, because people will wanna move in to their township.
Right.
So that's also a fight that we need to have a talk about. And I'll get you to go to some township meetings with me.
Is that McGregor Township?
I will.
You're talking about McGregor, you're talking about Jevony. You know, they're right outside, and then go south. The next township south is in Travis's area. But, okay, you're gonna lose $700-800 in revenue.
That's because of the annexation of the land for the
Right,
septic system,
but
which is
it's-
common, but
if you have to build a septic system, that's
To
a
accommodate
lot
that
more
type of-
expensive than bringing it
million.
into, so it's kind of another cog in the wheel that I'm starting to hear from township supervisors.
yeah, I think what the commissioner's saying is also that we need to have everybody involved. We need to have everybody at the table, everyone, all the townships, the city, the planners, the commissioners, you know, at least 2 commissioners, please. But everybody needs to be at the table so that everybody's getting the same message at the same time. I think that's one of the most important things. Is, and having environmental in our county offices that are gonna have their hands on this, that they're too, and that message is all one on spot.
Understood, and I
Thank you,
thank
Chair.
you all for the support of building housing here in the area.
So
And
does
we
Shamrock
can
do
put
their
that
own
together.
environmental? No.
No.
No, I don't think so. Some ordinances.
Is there a viable developer?
There's I got a 40-acre parcel, a 20-acre parcel, a 15-acre parcel, and another 15-acre parcel within a mile of the city of McGregor that all want to develop. But they're not gonna develop if, like the 40-acre parcel, if all they can get is 5 homes.
Five, yeah.
It's not cost effective for them.
Absolutely.
And-
So is that a county thing?
It was, the county will be big time in that.
It's on county, it's not city property, it's county property.
No,
That was his question.
it's personally owned.
Well, my question is,
Private.
who,
Under county authority or city authority,
the 5 acre,
the parcels,
That's the county.
they're under
okay, well, we're the
so-
county.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we need to, yeah, exactly.
We'll put that together for sure. I'm excited about
Excellent.
that.
Okay, sounds good.
That's
Mark?
it for updates. So
Anything you want to update legislatively or any
the
sundry items?
The latest AMC meeting that I did attend, they talked about, you know, the cost shifts federal now is where they're shifting the concentration. There's still I don't want to call it a wait and see thing. The commissioners can update on what they felt from AMC, but we're still kind of in that, what is it going to end up being before the fall? Hopefully we get those numbers before the actual budget and preliminary has to come out, so.
Very good. Any questions? Those who were not able to attend the district meeting, 2 Harbors?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
We do have
We got the
5B.
walk-on item,
Yep. the walk-on.
but before we go that, anything else on a
On the
administrative?
district meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a great meeting, great attendance. Thank you, Commissioner Westland, for being there.
Sure.
And your support. Thank you. Yeah, I think the most of the information that we were receiving from AMC is that we're relieved, we're taking a sigh of breath from the state that all of the cost shifts were not pushed through as what was proposed. There's still a lot to come out. So we took a pause in breath, but we're still holding our breath that it works out fine for the budgets and the counties. Other than that, the major shift is we don't know what the federal government's gonna do in their cuts, which will push down to the state, which will push down to the counties.
Is there speculation as to when that can be determined? I know that the federal budget runs from,
Yeah, until the governor or whoever down there comes out with the budget and the final sayings, Brett, you may know more on the process of that than I do.
They're all worried. DC's froze everything.
I think they talked more towards fall, that September timeframe where they
think
would
so,
know
yes,
more,
thank
so.
Yeah, because October's the first is the start of the new federal budget.
Yeah.
So by September, the middle of August, they're gonna know what kind of money they have left to send down.
Yeah. And then there's the concern there. That doesn't give you a lot of time for your budget, does it?
No.
We're just gonna have to be,
Budget's done.
yeah, or we're done by then.
Preliminary's done.
Yeah, we have to be before we know what we're dealing with.
Just
Yeah,
need
and
to
I know a
change
lot
our
of the
budget
counties,
cycle
they
to
did say
there.
a lot of the counties are projecting their preliminary levy as being higher than, and they're just proposing that as a safety measure, and of course, we limit it down.
And I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
Right.
You know,
Until we know.
until we know.
Well, historically, we try to just be realistic.
Right.
And you can do it for cosmetic reasons, like some counties do, that, hey, look,
Well, I think the reason they're
from the
doing this.
preliminary to the final.
Right, I think the reason I'll use St. Louis County for example, when they were speaking, they are going double digits for the sole purposes they do not know what the cuts are from the federal government in health and human services, which is the major cost impact to the counties, if that funding is
And
cut.
my thing is, I agree with Commissioner Weedle, if we do what we always do, the right thing,
Excuse me.
that's $1.
It is.
That's
If we do the
$5.
right thing,
Inflation.
and then if we get extra with the funding, then that just lowers it, but we go in with our own plan rather than trying to fluff it.
Yep. And based on the unknowns, that we won't know until after
Absolutely.
the federal fiscal year, we're probably gonna have to shoot high with every intention of lowering, hopefully.
Absolutely. That was just an example that St. Louis was trying to do, is it's not fluff, it's, they're anticipating if they cut, what they've said they're gonna cut at the federal level, if they cut this, this, and this, then this is what's gonna cost county. And that's where they're setting their preliminary levy at. And when working off of that, you know, which is, it's pretty, I think we're saying the same word, just different semantics.
And since we're on the subject, we're not gonna know where we stand, this is my opinion, until we know what's mandated and what's not.
Exactly, and that was brought up also.
And Mr. Chair, to that point, just because it's mandated, if they don't have it in statute, I think this board has to make a very tough decision that we're not gonna support unfunded mandates if it ain't turned into state statute. I mean,
Right.
we can't bankrupt our residents because they wanna get glory down there to get reelected and make all these mandates and then not fund them. If they're not state statute, we need to take the stance that we're not gonna fund them.
If I might, Chair.
Absolutely.
Down at the district run director meeting last Friday, that was specifically discussed by the board. We can take that. A lot of commissioners are talking about taking that stance. But the flip side of that was when you do that, and I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, but we need to take in consideration that when you say you're not gonna push a state mandate, historically, the state will go, okay, then we're not gonna fund this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
their
a
sword of
tug war.
Damocles.
Yeah, and it's how they get you to compromise, but I just want to put that in everybody's head. Yes, that was talked down there, and we have to get together and decide as a board, what's the risk, what's the cost benefit of doing this? You know, if they say we're not gonna do this and it's $500,000, and then they cut $1 million off another project, it's something that you have to look at.
It's
And-
gonna be
Well,
both
and-
interesting and unprecedented.
Mr. Chair, I think that our auditors have told us how much we need
Right,
to support the people we have for a certain amount of period of time.
right.
That's what that's for. I mean, that's why we have that money. So I think we just need to do our own thing and
It'll be a long road without a turn.
you bet.
No doubt about it. Okay, let's go on to the walk-on item, the State Boat and Water Safety Grant. A preface on that, Mark?
Yeah, thank you. It's just a signature and a resolution for 2024 State of Minnesota Annual Board and Water Grant Agreement from the Sheriff's Office and the State Water Board. requesting a signature. They've got to turn that in. The amount of the grant is $36,000. That'll be reimbursed, 36,000 rough dollars. But they're just looking for approval of the resolution for
And if your
signature.
question is the same as mine and over here in Commissioner Western and 2024, is this a typo? No, it is not, but it is retroactive.
Yes.
Yep.
And it is time fused. Barring any questions, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Make the motion.
Motion set effect, Commissioner Leviska, support. Is there support?
Support.
The motion is supported by Commissioner Sample. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We'll sign, seal, and deliver ASAP, huh?
Appreciate that. Thank
Back.
you.
Sounds good. Thanks. On to Environmental Services. Andrew Carlstrom. Welcome, Andrew.
Morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Good.
Good morning.
This beautiful morning.
It is.
You got a little pep in your step today. Your daughter must be visiting, huh?
How did you know, sir?
Granddaughter?
Got no, this is daughter.
No, this is
Thanks
daughter.
for
Coming out of Oregon?
coming out of Oregon.
All
Yep,
right.
Yep,
Awesome.
coming out of Oregon.
Great
Coos
state.
Bay, Oregon. Yes.
Communist state.
All right, Board of Commissioners, so my item on the agenda is to hold a public hearing on the amendments to the septic ordinance. And I'm just gonna go ahead and briefly read the memorandum to kind of open up the discussion. In accordance with the new Aitkin County Strategic Plan and an effort to streamline, improve clarity, and update the current septic ordinance, which was 2014, so it's 11 years old. Aitkin County Environmental Services has worked collaboratively with the Ordinance Committee, has done a great job, and the MPCA Program Coordinator, Aaron Patrick, who hails from Aitkin, to propose modest amendments to the current SST ordinance. The Ordinance Committee met on February 11th to review, discuss. The staff met with MPC in April. Review, and the Planning Commission approved the proposed amendments on April 21st. MPCA completed their final review on June 4th. Summary of the proposed changes are as follows. The statute that's been repealed, Section 4, just refining definitions, adding composting toilets, Section 565, holding tanks, and then just some additional language in 6.6 for holding tanks. And finally, mostly operating permits. So what we're proposing today is a public hearing and then a first reading. And with that, I want to acknowledge also the staff, the Environmental Services staff, Kevin, as well as Jody Grunn, Brock Anderson, both licensed septic, the Ordinance Committee, and Shannon Webush, who manages all the operating permits. Just tremendous staff. We're fortunate to have such a professional, competent staff. So with that, Mr. Chair,
Okay,
bring it back to
thank you, Andrew. Commissioner Carney, before we officially open the public hearing,
Could you slide that up? I want to read the first page again, please.
This?
No, the other way. I'm sorry. Right. Go back.
I'll get you there.
Thank you.
there's,
Right there. It says, slide down a little bit further. It talks about fees.
Fees.
Keep going. Oh, after administrative fees, amend to say may be charged after the fact fees. Is this on the septic systems or is this overall?
This is just on, let's go ahead and answer your question here.
Is it within the document?
Yes.
Let's just slide down to the document area then.
Okay, let's see, that is 1014. And that just reads any.
Got it. Okay, there's no major change to it. It's just
No,
the same
sir,
thing.
no.
All right, thank you.
thank you. With that being said, we will officially open the public hearing on this matter. Is there any public comment in person or remotely online? Second call for public comment. third and last call for the public comment on this issue. Hearing no response, were there any written comments, Andrew?
No, sir.
Okay, minutes will so reflect that. And final call, public comment. Hearing none, we will officially close the public comment, noting no public comment. On to the first reading.
Okay, so then if in front of you, you should have changes. You can read on the, so we'll go ahead and begin the changes. So section 1.1, that statute has been repealed, so that was needed. Again, this is 11 years old, so it hasn't been touched. Our standard, just a little background, is the 7080. This is our statute. Many of you know 7080 through 7083. That's our Bible to say for septic systems. So composting toilets. So we have more and more every year. We have questions about composting toilets. So we thought we'd add that into the definitions. A composting toilet is a self-contained unit not connected to sewer or water and has two principles of operation. Liquid is evaporated and solids are biologically decomposed into compost. So that met the standards of MPCA. And then really type 1 through type 2, type 1 through type 5 was just eliminating unnecessary verbiage. And that was approved by the MPCA as well. So, Mr. Chair, should I just go ahead and read through each type?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, type 1 system.
I just have a question about
Yes.
a composting toilet.
Yes.
Outhouse?
No. And
It's totally different.
totally different. It's
That's-
it's
A lot
electrical.
of people don't understand.
Yeah,
Yes.
And people take liberties to, well, isn't this composting? And so
Right.
we field a lot of questions on that.
Okay.
So type 1 system, that's our standard system. That's something that's required whenever we subdivide property. That's state standard that we guide people towards type 1 systems. An SSTS that is designed according to Part 7080, 2200 to 2240, including, and this is the new language, including but not limited to trenches, beds, mounds, at grades, or gray water systems. So we struck out the chambers, dual fields. They are not a system per se. So that was kind of old language, and that was an input from the MPCA. Type 1, systems must be placed on natural and undisturbed soils. And then period. So we took out all the unnecessary where you can find those definitions in everything right in here. Type 2 system, an SSTS that is designed according to parts 7080, 2270 through 2290, including but not limited to holding tanks, privies, and septic systems installed in the floodplain. Type 3 system, a system that deviates from the requirements of 7080, 2210, and 2240. These systems, constructed according to 7080, 2300, include but are not limited to systems built on fill or disturbed soil systems constructed on sites with less than 12 inches of natural soil above the periodically saturated soil or bedrock, and reduced size systems with time dosing. So across the state, that's what you're seeing more and more of, is these type 3 systems, because soils have already been disturbed. So that's really the future, is these type 3 systems. Type 4 system, an SSTS that is designed according to Part 7080, 2350. These systems utilize registered treatment or pre-treated technologies in order to meet various treatment requirements that a standard system may not accomplish. And then type 5, a septic system that is designed according to 7080, 2400. And then it's got all the stats in there. So that's definition changes proposed. And then we have section 5.6, prohibitions, holding tanks. So a little history on that is The holding tanks, what we've ran into as a staff is RCVs, recreational camping vehicles, just a seasonal use, usually 150 gallons or less that they use a day. And then in the past, we've told them, you've got to build a mound. And mounds, we know, are $30,000 to $40,000 a piece. And so now we're providing relief, some common sense towards landowners, something that the MPCA has approved, holding tanks. So that's a little bit of history on that. And that's a big code enforcement issue that we
So,
run into.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and Andrew,
Yes.
if I may interrupt you there, what happens to somebody, you're gonna add $30,000 on their system, and they can't afford it, but they could afford a holding tank?
That's what we're providing relief for.
So they can
Yes, sir.
do that rather than getting a type 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, that's what
thank
we're
you.
providing for now. Yep. And in just a little background, we did our research, neighboring counties, they all have clauses that allow this. Itasca, all Beltrami, all these counties allow for holding tanks, these seasonal uses for recreational camping
But for
vehicles.
seasonal, I'm talking about somebody that lives
Only.
here.
No, this is recreational yep, this is,
It says seasonal on your, if you slide down, it
Yes.
says it's
Yeah,
talking
it says
seasonal.
seasonal
But
only.
what about people that
But
are
it-
living here?
Right, what's, that's
Not-
where it's driving.
yeah, not.
What about
Because
full-time
they freeze
residents
up.
on the lake that have historically,
Not even on the lake.
or not even on the lake? Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That have holding tanks.
Well, let's,
Are they being required because,
You know, my question.
no, right now, this is just for 180 day, this is for seasonal use.
this one
And
is. though-
Commissioner Carney has the floor right now.
Okay.
My concern is that I understand that this section is talking about only seasonal, okay? We talked about holding tanks up above, and it doesn't say anything that they must upgrade or not upgrade at the first 1.0, right? Or 1.1, type 1 system, type 2 system, holding tanks, et cetera. Now, correct me or educate me, a holding tank is what system?
That's a type 2.
Okay, so a type 2 system, there's nothing in here stating that they have to upgrade their holding tank to a type 1. Is that correct?
Say that one more time.
Is there anything in this document saying that properties that currently have holding tanks are going to be required to upgrade their system to a type 1?
Kevin, can you help me out on that one? It
Only
gets
if they want a
complex and
permit.
we can
It does,
dive
right.
into the weeds. Yeah, let's do it.
Kevin, if you could come up, please, and use the mic.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Currently, with the adoption of the original 70-80 rules, which were back in about 1996, at that point in time, this wording that we have in our ordinance was if you cannot fit a type 1 system in, a holding tank system or a type 2 system would be allowed.
Okay,
Okay, so over the course of time, theoretically, we should have most of these systems. If they have a holding tank on there, that was all that was feasible.
right.
Unless they went to a type 3, which would be a substantially larger mound system. And so currently, anybody that has a holding tank on their property, if it was permitted through the proper procedures since 1996, they would still be allowed to have that.
With the caveat in this statement here, I understand the A is talking about seasonal, but if you go down one paragraph, it says holding tanks installed after the date enacted of this ordinance should follow these conditions. It must have a meter on it. Okay, so that only applies to ones that are installed after this document becomes
Yes, sir.
effective. The ones that are currently there,
Right.
there's not gonna be any requirement for changes. Now, I'll put the caveat in, unless they rebuild and do building, then they have to go through the requirement of the septic system upgrade if required or not. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
There-
fine.
there-
If he puts a deck on. they're gonna have
Mr.
to-
Chair,
Commissioner Sample?
okay, I'm gonna give you guys a scenario. Ready for this?
We're ready.
A young man inherits his folks' place. Dad passes away. And you know who I'm talking about, Commissioner Kearney.
Thank you.
He inherits his dad's place. He doesn't have $30,000 or $40,000 to put a mound in. He comes to planning and zoning and says, I do have enough to put a holding tank. And he's told no, because you have to put in a holding tank.
You have to put a type 1 system in.
Type 1 system in.
Yeah.
So now this kid's sitting on a piece of property he could be building on. Instead,
Or find.
they're gonna tear down the old house rather than put the money into fixing it up.
How do we accommodate that? How do we?
How do we change that?
This is not something that you need to answer right this
No.
minute. This is something that we need to.
But this is something that me and you have talked about, Andrew. that-
I can give you the current answer that would allow them to change that, and that's to apply to the Board of Adjustment for a variance.
There you
Now,
go,
if
there's
that's
another
approved-
$700.
They're gonna say no.
And again, if that's approved, then they would be allowed to have a holding tank.
If it's approved.
But it doesn't.
Why?
If it is approved.
But in reality, we know that doesn't work that way because the Board of Appeals is not on the grounds of whether you have enough money to approve or disapprove something. We've been down
That's
that
not
road.
a practical difficulty.
Right.
Correct. That's what has to be determined, a practical difficulty.
So
And
what's the
that's
sense
an
of going?
individual case. you know.
Exactly. Well, it is.
They could approve it.
Yeah.
They could deny it. And that's where I stop on the answers on those, because the board has their own decision.
Right. Well, I thank you. You've answered my question about the holding tanks. I just wanted to make sure that none of this is going to be retroactive and going to affect the current landowners who are many, and I'll go back to on the properties of the lakes, that they're retirement homes, and those were what were installed at that time. And they don't, they're retirees, they're fixed incomers, and that's something I'm looking at very closely because they can't afford that $30,000 to upgrade, even if the land permitted it.
Correct.
So thank you for the clarification.
And my thing is we talk about
Did you have any?
getting some of this property
No.
back on the tax rolls and getting people in our schools, you know, are we doing everything we need? That's environmentally safe. I'm not asking not to be. But if you already have, if you can't afford type 1, but you can get a type 2 in there
Sorry
for a
to
lot less
side
money.
rail this,
No.
Chair.
No,
No.
it's a good,
Yeah.
Because sooner or later,
We need to
this
have it.
discussion would come up.
Yep.
Better sooner.
Yep. And again, as I mentioned, the intent of the ordinance committee looking at this is to provide relief for people. This is a living document. So
Okay.
if we don't like what we're just trying to get this one over the goal on the goal zone, the end zone here. But section 5.565 says holding tanks are not allowed as a mean of sewage treatment for new construction on lots created after January 21, 1992 within the Shoreland District and January 10th, 1995 outside the Shoreland District. And I believe that comes from statute. So our hands are tied. We can't be
is that
less
statute?
We can't be less restrictive. Those dates are statute, right, Kev?
Commissioner Westerland?
so and then you talk about the treatments that you can add. What is the treatment? What is that gonna do to the environment?
The advanced system,
Yeah.
Kevin, again, maybe you can speak on that. Advanced system is
Thanks for being here, by the way.
is technology. Yeah, obviously I asked him.
It's a treatment.
It's advanced technology. It's using,
Hydrolysis.
yes, anaerobic digestion, all these fancy, go ahead, Kevin, if you want to, what we see.
Pre-treatment systems, the most common ones we see are an aerobic treatment system. The average system is an anaerobic.
Yep.
So we're just changing what type of bacteria go to it. An aerobic system is a much more efficient because they're introducing air and oxygen, so there's more bacteria.
Yeah.
Primarily, they are used on like our bars and our restaurants, which have what's classified as high-strength waste.
Right.
So you put that pre-treatment, any establishment you walk by, if you happen to be in hearing distance of a system and you hear a humming noise, that's that air blower introducing air into that system. That allows them to get down into those standards that the state has set for bacteria and your total suspended solids and everything else. So they're primarily, there's some houses we have residential type that do have them, but they're a rather substantially large system. They're not cheap, you know, and neither are the houses
Not
that are
cheap.
providing food to
Exactly.
them, so.
Okay, well, a
Yeah,
lot of
so-
people don't understand that
Yep,
you know,
aerobic.
air is a good thing.
Yep, yep.
They're very similar to what a lot of cities use. Municipal systems use
So is-
that type of
is that gonna be
technology
like-
more so.
Cow flatulence?
Yeah,
Getting
thanks,
out
Lori.
into the air? Well, I'm just saying.
We do have a couple of calls every year when some of these seasonal businesses start up. The
Yeah.
neighbors definitely let us know that they're back and in business.
Yep.
Because to get them going again,
gotta
they do
get-
get a little bit pungent.
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin.
Andrew, commence with the first.
Okay,
reading.
yes, so section 6.4, we're now on that second page there, so holding tanks. So strike through on that original language, and now what we're proposing, something a little more organized with some checks and balances for our seasonal folks. Holding tanks may be allowed for the following applications: for dwellings that are seasonal, used fewer than 180 days per calendar year, and water usage is not more than 150 gallons of water per day. 2 type 1 soil treatment areas must be identified on the management plan by the designer. So that's a licensed septic designer. He or she's gonna be the one that's gonna determine that, and when applicable, and preserved for future use by the landowner. So again, the end state, the end state of the state of Minnesota, they want to see those type 1 systems if at all possible. And B, when it can be conclusively shown that a type 1, classification 1 or 2, as Minnesota Rule 7080, SSTS cannot be feasibly installed as determined by a licensed designer and approved by the department. And then next, holding tanks installed after the date of the enactment of this current ordinance shall follow these conditions. The owner of a holding tank must install a water meter to continuously record indoor water usage, and that's our check. The department may request water usage readings at any time. And B, finally, a management plan meeting the requirements of 7082 must be provided by the licensed designer. So that is what we're proposing at this time. The next change would be 6.6, septic system for recreational vehicle, fish houses use. So really, it's just amending it with the change above, but RVs that have manufactured built-in holding tanks for gray and black water that are on a parcel of land without a principal dwelling unit for more than 60 days in a calendar year must comply with the following. And again, everything in black is original language from 2014. If there is running water from a well to the RV, a standard type 1 or type 2 holding tank, SST must be installed. Where there is no running water from a well to the RV, at a minimum, an outhouse privy must be installed, or a toilet waste treatment device, as in section 5.66 of this ordinance would be allowed. Holding tanks will be considered as per the section above. So we just eliminated some of the unnecessary language in that one, and so we're just referring to up above there. Differences in standards, 6.7. Okay, the 6.77, setback distances from the mound septic systems to buildings, property lines, wells, road right-of-ways, and ordinary high water level. That's what this book refers to. It doesn't talk about rivers, creeks, streams. We know that rivers, creeks, streams have an ordinary high water level. So the MPCA recommended we just strike through rivers, creeks, streams, lakes, and just go with ordinary high water level. Will be taken from the outer limits of the absorption area. And so that's easier for the field staff. That was one of the recommendation the field staff brought to us, is rather than this 5 feet setback, because they know the outer limits of the absorption area. And so that's what we're recommending on that one. Section 8.4, there actually was no change. We kind of went back forth on that one. So that's all original as it was 2014. So no changes to 8.4. And the last page here, section 8.9. So again, this is the second, really the second big emphasis is operating permits. So these operating permits are required for non-standard systems. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. Those are the origins of it. So operating permits must be submitted on forms approved by the department. An operating permit shall be required for the following septic system, SSTS, with high-strength waste effluent standards that exceed Minnesota Rule 7080, subpart 3K. And then we struck through number 2, and we're becoming less restrictive. So that was kind of a restrictive thing and normally a cluster system is gonna be something with a planned unit development, things like that. So, and 7080 does not prohibit this. That was always the feedback we would get from Aaron Patrick was, this does not prohibit what you're proposing. And then this is probably the biggest one is number 3, type 3, excluding type 3 systems constructed on sites with less than 12 inches of natural soil above the periodically saturated soil or bedrock, type 4 and type 5 systems. So we see throughout Aitkin County, we have 2 and 3 foot mounds, 12 inches done properly. That's a type 3 system. There's no need to run them through these operating permits. I had Shannon Webush do a little bit of active operating permits currently. We have 361. So those have to be renewed usually annually or every other year. It depends on the designer. In 2024, we issued 50 new operating permits for these type 3 systems. And most of them were this one that had the 12 inches, and it just requires extra staff to manage this. And it provides, a cost savings to landowners as well as kind of a general relief to them. So, and we've had much feedback from the contractors who say this is a good call, and they're just kind of waiting for us to approve this and go with it. And it's less restrictive. It's less restrictive, which meets the intent of the strategic goals. And number 4, SSTS that exceeds a daily flow of 2,500 gallons per day. And MPCA recommended we strike through number 5 because it fits into 4. So let's see, was there any other? And then last but not least, section 10.14, administrative fees. Any application for a permit that is made after the work has commenced and which requires a permit or is done in violation of a permit may be charged an after the fact administrative fee of 5 times the original permit. So we leave that discretion up to the staff. If the potential violator is working with our staff, there's no reason that we have to drop the hammer, punish them. And most folks work with us. Most folks are excellent to work with. So that at this time, that is, if I may, I'd just like to kind of read the big picture, what we're proposing here for the resolution. The current SST ordinance was drafted and adopted in 2014 and deemed in need of updating and revising by Aitkin County Environmental Services. Aitkin County is experiencing and is expected to experience the continued increase of state septic regulations and updates, the need for new septic systems and the replacement of non-compliant systems, and then Aitkin County desires to amend the current ordinance in order to improve organization, understandability, and enforceability of the current SSTS. So again, that was the first reading. If you have any other further questions of me? Commissioners?
I'm sure me and you will be having some talks, Andrew.
Yeah. Like I said, the intent is to always work on it, keep working on it, and keep improving it.
Andrew, so everybody has an idea of the chronology of this. When will the second reading be held, and when will the question be brought before the board?
That'll be July 8th, your next board meeting.
Next board meeting?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Both the second reading and subsequent action?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
No.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your endurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
On to the MOU with Crowing.
Yes, so we have a great opportunity again to work with a fellow a neighboring county. Currently, the summary of the issue, currently Crow Wing Land Services does not have a certified advanced septic design system designer inspector. Aitkin County zoning officer Jody Grunn received his certification in 2024. He's done an outstanding job. There's some hard testing that you have to go through. Assisting on an as-needed basis and with compensation to Aitkin County, Environmental Services is willing to assist Crow Wing County with the consultation, review, and inspection of advanced septic systems. A draft MOU is attached for your review. The county attorney has reviewed the proposed. So we're looking for a motion to approve that. We anticipate just a modest revenue, $100 an hour, and we get mileage to go for Jody to go over and inspect, do on-sites, and then he can do most of it from his desk. And so 3 to 5 inspections annually we're anticipating, so.
Very good, Commissioners. A motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Westerland. Support.
Support.
Motion supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. MOU is hereby ratified.
All right, thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks a lot, Andrew.
Yep.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin,
We'll be talking soon, too.
we'll be in touch, yeah.
I think that cup's blue did.
On to Human Resources, Bobby Danielson. Welcome, Bobby.
Hi, Bobby.
Good morning, everyone. I have 2 items for the board today. The first item is regarding staffing at Long Lake. The Personnel Committee met and discussed the part-time Long Lake custodian position, which became vacant earlier this year. Following that meeting, DJ Thompson, Dave McMillan, and Jim Bright met to assess the actual needs and determine how to best serve Long Lake in that role. They recommend converting the part-time custodian role into a full-time housekeeper position. The majority of the duties are cleaning related, and the current part-time hours are insufficient to cover the full campus. That position has turned over multiple times. I can recall at least 7 incumbents in some form of housekeeping or maintenance support in the last 10 years. So it's got frequent turnover. It pays around $20 an hour. And being part-time, it offers no health insurance, making retention difficult. Varied hours have further reduced its appeal, like when we have turnover days, one school is leaving, another school is coming in. Those are really busy cleaning days. They're heavy, but they might also be coupled with firewood duties in the evening. You know, the hours can vary. A full-time housekeeper will provide more stability and also consistent coverage. Other staff, including the business manager, have been stepping in during off hours to cover gaps while we've had vacancies, but and we appreciate that, but it's not sustainable for them to do that long term. The part-time position has been budgeted at 29 hours per week for many years. We're requesting an 11-hour increase to make it full-time, along with the title change to housekeeper and reporting to Jim Bright. They will also receive direction from Dave McMillan. They would be eligible for health insurance as well, which we think will help retain them longer. This will increase the 2026 budget, but we believe the investment will promote long-term stability and strengthen the Long Lake team moving forward. So you would be looking, if you approve this, we think we can cover the cost in the 2025 budget, the increase, because the position's been vacant for much of this year. But we are anticipating you would pay an additional $24,000 or $25,000 in the 2026 budget if you approve this.
Commissioner Sample?
So that 25,000 you're talking about's only salary, right?
It would be salary and wages, yep, or I mean, benefits, yeah.
That is with benefits?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And DJ and Jim are also here if you have any specific questions. They're here to assist with
Commissioner
answering any
Westerland?
questions you have.
So Bobby, Didn't DAC used to help clean over there? Do they still do it?
I think I've tried that in the past. Jim might be able to
That actually
talk to that.
question came up in the personnel
I
Yeah,
committee.
it did. Yeah, it did. It didn't work out when they tried it. They have used that service in the past, and in this particular venue, it just Jim can maybe speak
I'd be
more
interested
to
to
it,
know
but it
why.
did not work out.
Well, the remote location was one.
It might be location. It might also be the varied shifts. It might be. I mean, the size of the campus is huge. You know,
Well, it is.
firewood duties in the past have probably contributed to some of it. Jim, do you have anything additional to add?
If they're just housekeeping, they shouldn't be doing firewood.
Good morning. Yes, we have used DAC in the past. Some of the issues have just been supervision when you're dealing with that many rooms.
Okay.
Making sure that everything is getting done properly. In the past positions I have used DAC in smaller cases where it's exactly the same
Like
every day,
offices or-
and it works very well.
Yep.
This particular type, just because of the different things that come up every single time, different schools. You know, 3 times you get it, and there's hardly any mess in the rooms. And then you'll get rooms where there's deodorant rubbed into the carpeting and all this other stuff that needs to be taken care of outside of what normal duties are.
Right.
And that kind of stuff gets missed, and it takes a lot of supervision to go back, check all of this, and it just hasn't worked out. On changeover days, it is a very limited time we have to get these rooms cleaned. Typically, we're getting into those rooms 10 o'clock in the morning, and the other schools are showing up by noon. Maybe 9:15 on a good day we're getting in there, but it's a very short time for turnover. So
So how many people, I mean, if you're gonna get one full-time person, 40 hours a week, how many other people are helping that person?
it all depends on what the changeover is. I mean, you can have anywhere from
70 kids
if you have 70 kids and
need a lot of help.
yeah, it like I said, it all
They'll
depends on
work
the rooms.
together.
So you have your full-time custodian position and a full-time house cleaner. They will handle most of the times. There's other times when they're going to have upwards of 200 plus kids, and on those particular days, in the past, Dave has contacted me, and I will send up one person on Fridays. Maybe I'll send up 2 or 3 just to help kind of catch up and get ready for the next one. So, but that's what we're trying to eliminate is the number of days I have to send my staff up to help on those changeovers, because like I said, it is a very short window, and there's a lot to do. So,
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might.
Commissioner Carney.
Thank you. I just want for clarification, Commissioner Westerland, that I received an email from Dan Gaida. I'm going to read this email so it clarifies STS. Bobby, the STS is used for non-CUNY related work items. I have the responsibility to ensure they are working on items that impact the community the most. During COVID, LLC was a good place to keep them busy and isolated. I also appreciate that they were able to save the county money. However, that is not a higher priority than other community work. Currently, my STS program is smaller than normal due to inmates being sent to treatment instead of being sentenced here. If the size of the team increases and we are caught up with other higher priority items, we would be able to assist with LCC operations. However, scheduling them at this time would be difficult. I just want to make sure that was put out there so that everybody knows that the factors concerning STS. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, Commissioner LaVisca.
So when you have to send staff up on the turnover days, is that cutting into something that they should be doing, or do you generally have a staff member that's freed up to be able to do that without affecting other operations?
We always have more than enough to do here. It's priority. What needs to be taken care of more on those changeover days. It's all about getting those kids out, getting the next group in, and then get back. So I mean, we are taking away from things we could be doing here, but it's you know, maybe something we're doing here could be pushed back till later in the day or the next day so we can get up there and get that handled.
Okay. Mr. Chair, another question.
You bet.
So currently it's for years now, it's been 29 hours per week, and then that's what's caused you on the high turnover days. So if we move this to a full-time year-round, what are we looking at in the winter? Is there 40-plus hours of work in the winter and the off-season for a housekeeper to be full-time?
Yeah, for example, I was just up there a week ago, just snapping pictures in each room, and I'm building a list of things that needs to be done this summer. And, I mean, I bet you I have 250 pictures, and I've only done half of the North Star Lodge of things that need to be addressed, from touch-up of paint, scrubbing, you know, doing extra work on the restroom areas, the showers, things like that. Carpets need to be shampooed. So some of that stuff can be done. Typically, Long Lake is very busy in the fall up to Thanksgiving. And then that Thanksgiving to Christmas time is a little bit slower because schools aren't taking their trips up there. So in that time, maybe we can get some of these rooms shampooed, some of that stuff touched up in the winter instead of trying to push it all off into, you know, a couple months in the summer. So yes, there will be plenty of work for them.
So it would kind of be a housekeeper / maintenance item.
Light duty
maintenance.
maintenance stuff, yes.
And then if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Sample.
Kind of on what Commissioner LaVista was saying, is that you said November to December, but I've also been up to the foundation meetings, and they talk about February and March being slow, that they don't have anybody there. Isn't that time for that 20-hour, 29-hour a week employee to get a lot of that stuff done also? You're talking about 2.5 months of slow time.
It is, as long as we could keep that 29-hour position filled. And that's been the biggest problem, is keeping that filled. That has been when the personnel committee brought us up, I had said that was one of the problems, is the way we had it was not working. And we needed to look at something different because we could not keep that position filled.
Mr. Chair, if I may again.
Yep, Commissioner LaVista.
So now to get to a full-time workload where we're allowing benefits to be taken, we can actually do that at 32 hours also, right?
We can, but we probably have a number of folks across the organization that would like a 32-hour a week with benefit position. So we
Well,
have
right,
stuck
I understand that, but it's a matter of having the workload to fulfill too.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, you can.
If I might, Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Carney.
The Personnel Committee listened to DJ and Jim on this, and Bobby. We went full circle, the questions, and I appreciate the comments and questions, but we did go full circle, and both of them ensured us that there is enough work out there that will satisfy the salary and the full-time position. Did I say that right?
Correct.
Okay, so, and
Well, yeah,
that's
in
the
the
reason we
winter,
want
the
to
person
move
could
to that, and we
shovel
can't
or
keep people.
mow the lawns in the summer. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do.
And that's what they were doing with this part-time person, and the part-time person saying, I don't get any benefits, I'm just getting an hour work, and then I've got to cut wood, I got to shampoo carpets, I got to fix windows, I got to, whatever was needed. It was like a job for 3 different job descriptions for one position, I think is where we came to.
Yeah, they talked about that, and the
Right.
fact that there's just no way to cover all the bases that need to be covered
Right.
with that part-time position, especially when it's vacant it just keeps turning over.
What
and then
was
you
the
start
turnover
over.
ratio? 7?
You said 7
I can recall 7
Yeah,
people
just
who have
roughly.
been in like a housekeeper or maintenance type position since 2004.
And
I
turnover
looked back to.
costs money.
7 and 4.
Well, and most people aren't in that area.
We
They're
had
out.
a cook
they're out,
housekeeper who did some cleaning. We have had, another maintenance coordinator, another cook housekeeper that did some cleaning. We had another maintenance coordinator, a maintenance custodian, a utility maintenance custodian, a dishwasher housekeeper we tried at one point, a custodian housekeeper we tried just most recently. They just keep turning over no matter how you try to couple
Every
in
conceivable
the part-time
combination.
roles.
Have we looked at a company to hire? To come and clean up after the schools?
I don't know if.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know
We
if
have-
they've looked at a company, DJ or Jim?
We have not looked into hiring out that position just because they're, and yep, we could probably get a company to come in and help with those turnover days, but then to get them to come in and do those extra, the extra painting, the extra touch-up stuff is.
Well, I know,
you
but just for cleaning, I bet it would
Yep.
Yeah.
be half the cost.
I don't think we would get them at.
You don't have to
$20
hire
an
them
hour.
every
like-
month or every school. I mean,
Outside cleaning company is gonna
yeah.
cost way more than $20 an hour.
And that option was considered, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago,
Oh,
if you remember. And
Yeah.
it was not as cost-effective or efficient as what's being proposed.
And we'd looked at, I know it had been looked at here at the
Yes.
county, at this campus. I don't know that it had been looked at Long Lake.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yep,
can we
Commissioner.
table this for later discussion?
Well, of course, you can do whatever you want, but what is the sense of urgency on this?
well, we have a business manager who's picking up a lot of the slack right now. He's
That should be
working
out
his normal
selling.
shift, and he's coming in early, and then he's coming in after hours to
going
clean the
on out there,
cafeteria.
though,
And
right now?
Yeah, they have 4 corn camps every week.
Okay.
They start Sunday, and then the kids leave on Friday afternoon. Then there are some weekend events, not as much as we have in the winter, but there are some
Yeah.
weekend events as well, so.
And in response to Commissioner Sample's question, can we table it? Absolutely, we can. However, if it's the money, the budget, this is going to be funded through attrition throughout fiscal year 2025. It's attritionarily funded just because of the money that was saved and not spent in the vacancies, if that's the concern.
Well, that is the concern, because if we make this is permanent, and like we discussed earlier, we don't even know what the state and the federal are gonna do. I'm looking at $25,000 might not seem like much money now, but come next January in 26, this might, $25,000 could be. And did the Long Lake Conservation Center, did they not get a whole bunch of money?
DJ, can you talk about the budget?
Yes. Yeah, from the budget standpoint, they have both the outdoor school for all that was funded and then LCCMR money that was available as well. They also have rates that are going up, per student rates, that are jumping, I believe, from 70 to 85. And then at the end of, that would be for the school year 2025 to 2026. And then from 2026 to 2027, going from 185 to around 192, it hasn't been set. But the increase in the price per student with the LCCMR monies and the outdoor school for all, we're hoping will cover, obviously, that additional 24,000, roughly 25,000 to bring this position from a 29-hour to a 40. As far as what's been budgeted for salaries this year, this position has been empty pretty much all year. We've gone 5 months without this position there. Dave is already doing more than what he should be doing from a housekeeping standpoint. We would really like to get this position filled. We've looked at, like Bobby had said, every different combination, after.
Including the DAC and SGS.
Right, yep.
Was discussed at length.
Yep, and it had typically been funded, it had been budgeted for a full-time maintenance and then that part-time 29 hours a week. And like I said, we haven't been able to keep that 29-hour-a-week position. We have more than enough work that can be done from light maintenance to the cleaning. So this person would certainly remain busy, and with dollars that are coming in, would be funded through that. So,
If this is approved, just for the sake of discussion, how soon could somebody be on board?
I would say within a month, roughly.
So, Mr. Chair, can we not then fund this for the rest of the year until budgeting?
Yeah, it basically is funded for the rest of.
Right, so if we did it, move that up to 40 hours for this year, that it's already funded,
With the
and then with the understanding, we're gonna relook at this.
Along with everything.
Along with everything, I mean, everything's on the table. So rather than making this a permanent, a temporary 40-hour position, I'd feel comfortable doing that knowing it's already funded. But with the outcome, knowing what you guys are gonna get, and, you know, I've heard hopefully.
Yeah.
And we're going hopefully what the state and feds are gonna give us. So I'd like to make the motion to make this a 40-hour work week for 25 to relook at, possibly moving it back down to 29 hours when we look at the total outcome of the budget for 26.
Bobby, what would be the ramifications of that be just for?
It would be difficult for us to hire someone to leave their full-time job and take this full-time position, knowing that it may or may not be around in 6 months.
Then you'd have to pay them unemployment too after.
And to address Commissioner Samples, which I truly appreciate.
We can.
This, along with everything else, can and will be examined during the budgetary process, both through committee and through the board as a whole. As well as personnel.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to budgetary, every year we look, everything's on the table when we're looking at budget.
Everything.
Nothing is a guaranteed, you know, well, this is definitely not gonna get touched, or we're not gonna change this.
Right.
Everything's gotta be looked at, and with this into account, I mean, it's something we'd take a look at. I did have a question though, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So with, you know, additional funding from, you know, Outdoor School for All, and the LCCMR.
Yep.
They're gonna be planning on using this for operations, correct? Not throwing more out for.
Correct. Yeah, it's all, there's four items in Long Lake's budget, or four categories. Management is in one, education, food services, and maintenance. So there are different budgets that are within those four categories, but at the end of the day, it's the bottom line on everything. So there's three income items, or three line items for income in the education. And it's school groups, it's non-school groups. These would be the quilters, master naturalists, that type of stuff. And then the other is the adventure program fees, which is the summer groups, the Forkhorn camps, the firearm safety, the astronomy camps, stuff like that. That money is all put into the education account as revenue. We don't separate out beyond that. It's whatever comes in with the registration fees is there, and then it bottoms. Okay. You know, you just look at the very bottom, because our maintenance account, there's no income that comes into the maintenance. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty tough to balance individually that maintenance. So it's always that bottom line. And last year Long Lake has had some assistance with some money that's been donated to them. Otherwise, it's been. It plans about a $900,000 or $1 million budget, and that's what they bring in or hope to bring in with the school groups. So they have not had levy dollars put towards them since 2019 or 2020, right before COVID. There's been some fiscal recovery funds that have used to bail them out at the end of the year if they've been short on their budget. But otherwise, for the most part, they don't have a line item in the levy for this is money that's going to Long Lake. So they don't have any federal funds that come into them. It's the funds that they generate through the groups coming in that are paying their bills.
Just, yeah, my biggest thing is I wouldn't want to see the situation where, oh, look, we have this extra money coming in, we're going to put more scholarships out.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because, you know, I understand wanting to get more kids in, but our taxpayers need to stop paying for it at the end of the year.
Right.
All right.
Yep, yeah, and it's, the heads in the beds is what pays the bills on it. So when we have our manager that can be out there recruiting more schools and filling in on some of those times where it's a little bit slower, you know, that's what's gonna pay the bills on it, so.
Commissioner Carney, you were next for the floor.
You stated physical recovery funds. Educate me real quick. Where does this fund come from?
That was the federal dollars for the COVID-19 stuff.
Well, I understand where the money come from, essentially.
Where did the COVID money come from?
Federal government.
Yeah, it's federal government.
So tax dollars.
Which came right.
I would assume, yeah.
They have to be. So I always
Yeah.
try to bring this back around. We say it's not taken out of, but I understand you're saying it's not off the county levy.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and to piggyback on Commissioner LaVisca, over the years, and I know for the last 2.5 years, my short tenure here, a lot of scholarships are going out to other counties,
Yeah.
other throughout the state to get participation.
Right.
That's the way they get the participation.
Yep.
And we've made it, I know I have, and Commissioner Sample made it abundantly clear to Long Lake that this practice needs to stop because we can't afford, this county can't afford to keep financing. You know what I mean? I understand it's different funding money, but that funding in the physical recovery funding can be used for something else also.
Sure.
Not just Long Lake.
Yep.
And it has been a precedence in the meetings that we sit at and the boards that we've talked to that they rely on, and comments have been made, well, the county can pick the tab up. You know what I mean? We've heard it at our meetings.
And it appears the conversation is segueing towards a much broader
Yeah.
matter right
Yeah.
now. So if we could just respectfully get back to the
Yes,
question at hand.
I will step down.
No, all good points.
I wanted the question answered before I knew what I wanted to do
Sure.
moving forward.
Understood. I would entertain an official motion.
I'd move to approve making it full-time.
Okay, motion on the floor to set effect, Commissioner LaVisca. Support?
I'll second.
That motion is supported by Commissioner Westerland. Open it up for any further discussion. Hearing no discussion, by roll call vote, we'll call the question counterclockwise, beginning with Commissioner Westerland,
Aye.
Commissioner LaVisca, Commissioner Sample,
No,
Commissioner Carney.
Yes.
I will support the motion. The motion passes on a 4-1 vote. And again, as mentioned, this can and will be reviewed along with a lot of other things during the budgetary process. Okay,
Very good.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. The second item that I have is a temporary remote work policy addendum related to the HHS upcoming remodel. And Sarah is here as well to talk about this. This policy addendum provides temporary updates to the county's remote work policy during the HHS remodel project. It allows eligible HHS staff to work remotely up to 5 days a week with supervisory approval, clarifies how travel time and mileage reimbursement will be handled, and outlines procedures for temporarily using county-owned furniture and equipment at home. These provisions are in effect only during the remodel. Staff are clear on that, and it will sunset when the project concludes. So we're looking for a motion to approve the temporary remote work policy addendum.
And this has gone through
As
personnel,
presented.
it's gone through facilities to infinitum.
Yeah, it's
And
gone
I
through the-
appreciate all the work, the diligent, in-depth work that you and your staff have done on this, Sarah.
Very good
Bobby,
communication.
Thank you.
along with yourself. Sarah, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I really don't have anything else to add. You know, we're just making sure that we have this in place for the people that are working from home with temporary work locations. We will have the opportunity for people to come in here and there when they need to for court hearings and home visits and those sorts of things. So I feel good about that opportunity. So really nothing else to add unless there's questions about any of this.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner?
This is all voluntary, right?
Correct.
We're not forcing anybody to work from home.
That was
Correct, yep.
profoundly, yes.
Clear, I just wanted to make sure it was clear here.
Yes.
Yep.
All voluntary.
Thank you.
Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Motion approving, Commissioner Carney, support.
Support.
Commissioner Sample supports. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
In opposition, same sign. The ayes have it, motion prevails.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members
Thanks
of the board.
again, and good luck. You know,
We keep
we got a
hitting the
long road ahead of
milestone.
us here with
Each one's
this.
coming and we're moving along.
For those of you who have gone through these building projects before, this one being probably a little more complicated, just due to the relocation.
2 months and we'll be out.
Yeah,
Just keep breathing.
this too
That's
shall
exact-
pass.
Just keep swimming, just keep
We'll
swimming.
have a new and improved building.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you for all
Bobby.
your work that you've done on this. This is like,
Amazing.
And your research and the legislative process here, and we'll be anxious to see where the dust settles.
Yes, I'm working on that. It's a lot to unpack. But thank you.
Thanks again. On to committee updates from the commissioners. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Commissioner Sample.
Had a meeting with Congressman Stauber and 7 state elected officials with Talon. I would like to suggest that this county board do the meeting just like we did last Thursday, because not only was it great to see what Talon needed, but we met at City Hall at 10 a.m. and it was big talk about rural infrastructure for like the city of Tamarack, the sewer and water, the curbs and gutters, but more so sewer and water. And I know I'm not the only commissioner that has that problem in their district, but rather than phone calls and talking to people and other people, we had the congressman's undivided attention. And this will be great for the Fort District if Talon goes through, because we can mine safer. We can, and Talon spent a lot of money redoing their stuff and the fines. Their last core sample that they drill found 23.78 pure nickel, which is the richest in the world. Not also out of that drill hole came 79 point something copper, which is almost pure copper. Richest find in the world, both of them. And then there was gold and platinum and other stuff. That hole, just that core sample, was worth millions. Down below, what they found is worth billions, is worth billions of dollars. And Talon has wanted to work with us, where from their EAW stuff, they found complaints where people were worried about the air in that 200-foot thing over to the rail car. Talon has added a lot of money. Now they're going to build a building over the hole where it won't affect the dust. So that a lot of money to Aitkin County. It's pro-growth, which leads us to the problem of housing. So that was interesting. I'd like to see the board, if we could possibly go and take that same turn, listen to them things. And I'd like to encourage the mayor of Palisade to come over to that, to talk about her water and sewer issues. Right. So that was one meeting that I had last Thursday.
Brett, can I just say that I know that you can call up and ask them if you could bring some people or whatever. It's great. I mean, you're invited to Talon anytime you want to come.
Yep.
And they'll show you around. They'll show your group around. They'll take really good care of you. And you know.
And what scares me is we only have one nickel mine left in the United States that's due to run out of nickel in July of 2026. Then there will be no active nickel mining. We'll go to the 5 countries: Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Russia, and China. They'll control all of the nickel. And that's a scary thought. But yeah, I agree. I just think it was like even Congressman Stauber, when they start talking about their fines, he's like, where's it at? Let me look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
he was excited, as we should be.
He's never been there or what?
He's been there,
gonna
but to
say.
hold
Yeah.
a chunk this big,
$1 million.
that's silver
Pure. Yeah.
or pure nickel
Yep.
and gold and silver,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they got $1 billion fine, the richest deposit in the world, right here in Aitkin County.
For the sake of discussion, if I dare, Talon is traded on the stock exchange. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but I would say it's probably a buy recommendation.
Yes.
And that is not an official recommendation. I'm not a stockbroker. I don't want to be.
but
The brunt of my question here, Enbridge partnered with communities. Would Talon be in a financial position to partner for infrastructure that is going to be needed for housing development?
Talon's put a lot of money out there that people don't realize.
Oh, yeah.
They've poured a lot of money in our communities. The other thing is, the other part of the problem we have is the EAW commission, or Mr. Jeffers sat in on that, and Andrew Carlstrom, and the DNR and them said, well, we're not only doing an EAW with you guys, we have 5 tribes that we're also doing. And I'm like, why aren't we all at the table? Did I not ask that question? And they said, no, we're doing that separate.
And then why?
It makes no sense. If you're doing an EAW, it should be all of us there,
Together.
not a meeting with this and then a meeting over here. We need to do it all together. There are concerns. Is it gonna pollute my water? You know? But if we're all at the table, I think we could get that answered and we could move forward sooner than later.
Good point.
And then my other thing was, yesterday, when I was out chasing storms.
Yeah.
And looking at our 4,000 residents out of power. I talked to the Corps. The Corps had promised me an answer on the Big Sandy situation by the end of May.
It's June.
It's the
Almost.
middle of June. And when I talked to them, I was told that with the freeze in federal spending, the hiring freeze also, and they had an early retirement, that they lost a lot of people. So that everything's pushed back 60 to 90 days. So I won't have an answer from the Corps.
What was the specific question we're awaiting an answer for?
We're waiting an answer on if they'll take what this board asked the Corps to do. One is
turn over
the land back to the people, but keep the flood rights, the high water rights. And the Corps at first said, well, we don't do that. And then when it was shown that they've done that on Big Sandy.
Well, water rate.
Yeah. So we're waiting on an answer if the Corps is gonna accept that. They said it's in one of their final things. They're still keeping that open. So that's where we're at with the Corps. And that's the brunt of, most of my committee meetings.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Commissioner Westerlund.
I had CARE, doing a lot of work, keeping busy.
Is the van moving yet?
Nope, vans. Well, we have a van and 2 SUVs. No, they are not moving yet. We're not quite ready. Still working on the training. Gotta have all this training, and then you have to train all your drivers, and it costs money.
Sure.
But we're STS driver training is actually tomorrow and Friday. And we found, oh gosh, what is he's a commissioner from, shoot, I can't remember what she said. Anyway, he's a county commissioner. maybe Beltrami.
Okay.
He's coming here or not here, but can't remember where they're having it done. This meeting was like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, everything else is in order, looking good. We have not received a few grants. We're still waiting to hear if we even are gonna get them. You know, the Northland Foundation, they're hooked up with the feds. A lot of our grants are hooked up with the feds, so, the 3Bs, our remaining balance is about 5,400. Yeah, it's getting low, but we did have to increase our rates for housekeeping and respite, that type of stuff. We start that July 1st, which is, and people are fine with it. They really are, because we did ask them. And then I had the District 1 meeting, great information, nothing concrete, other than we know Mike's the new District 1 person. He's the head honcho now of our District 1, which is good. I'm sure he'll keep us on our toes. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything to discuss because we really don't know anything, you know.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Travis?
Sure.
Yeah, library board, not a lot going on. We just set some dates for starting budget hearings now that they kind of know that the state isn't cutting library funding, not increasing, but not cutting. So just be a lot of budgetary work there to try to make
Keep ours the
sure,
same.
yeah, at the bare minimum, yeah. So I'll probably bring a lot of that discussion through that process back here because I think that we need to keep a little bit tighter rein on the library budget than we have the last couple of years. I had Lakes and Pines Executive Committee. It was just a short agenda, just going over a couple, approving some grant requests. Then I had Snake River Watershed. They're doing good. We got some pretty big projects in the pipeline that we're discussing, and they're going to be doing a float down the Snake River. Originally, they were going to be starting in Mora and going south, but we said, well, Aitkin County is part of that too, so the board said that they need to start up in McGrath and float down, and they'll be starting. So they're going to be taking that tour to look for any potential project.
Good turnout. Also, we have the District 1 meeting, which we've already spoke about. I did attend last Friday, the AMC District Board meeting. I already briefed the concerns that they have about the budget and the federal budget. So other than that.
Did you get on Bowser for sure, or
I'm
what?
sorry?
Are you getting on Bowser?
Oh, that was the discussion between Commissioner
Svay?
How you say it? Svay up at Lake County. He currently sits on the Bowser Board of Directors. There's 3 commissioners. There's a northeast, a northwest, and a southern. And he gave me a phone call while I was on my way to a AOA meeting and asked if I would replace him. He's stepping back on some of his tasks. He's on the WIR board. It's going to start taking a lot of his time, and he asked if I would be willing to do that. And I was very well humbled that they would come to a 2.5-year commissioner and go, hey, I'd really like you to step into this position.
Who makes that appointment?
The governor.
The governor.
Okay.
So
I presume that it would
You'd have to
be
apply.
the recommendation of the current board to the governor.
that'd be correct.
That's usually the protocol.
And this is just in the works right now. He's just planning ahead, because I don't think that he steps out of that position at the end of the year. I think, I'm not real sure. They'll let me know. They just wanted to know if I would be willing to step into that position.
Boy, I applaud and appreciate all you do, the committees, the District 1 representation. This is monumental. We had a commissioner on there. In fact, Brian Napstead.
Right.
Brian chaired Bowser, and we had more influence with Bowser, which Aitkin County is highly affected by. You look at the one watershed, one plan, the number of ones Aitkin County is involved with. Plus, you rub elbows with the commissioner of DNR, which through fisheries,
Sarah?
et cetera, it was a critically beneficial contact for Aitkin County.
Yeah, I think it'd be great that we could reach out and tell them our issues too, with not just Aitkin's issue, but it'll be the whole region's issues with the wetlands, the waters, the non-building
Well,
requirements.
you know, and before Brian, we had Commissioner Brugman that was on Bowser for 8 years.
Right.
They wrote the wetland ordinance in 1992. And so that's a big part in what we're trying to do, where we started out in this 80 plus and we're now 95.
90-something to where- Right, absolutely.
I think Marquardt was on after Brian too. Cause she,
On Bowser, I don't think so.
cause I thought she took his place after he left.
No,
No.
Rich Fay did.
Oh, that's right. Rich,
He
yeah,
took
Rich.
his place.
Yeah.
And then he's ready to move on. I think he's going to higher better things with NACO.
Whatever this board can do, I don't know if this has to be ratified by the Senate or not, but
the
let's
governor.
reach out to our senators who represent Aitkin County, both of them,
And other counties.
and other counties. Yeah, that'd be great.
$5.
Yeah, I already owe $5.
We're rich today.
We're collecting.
Go ahead.
That's all I have. Now, Grant, next week I'll see you at the commissioners' meeting, but after that meeting, the next day I'll be heading out to NACO.
Woohoo.
So that looks to be exciting.
Do we have a meeting next week?
I'm just
We have it on the
excited.
8th, right? Not next week, I'm sorry,
Oh,
next month.
okay.
On the 8th, I'm sorry. Stand corrected.
Hmm.
That's all I have.
I stand flat-footed, so.
Yeah.
Personnel Committee met, you've heard the results of that. Economic Development met, you've heard the results and acted upon that. Facilities. Jim, as long as you're here, it was information, we put your wife on the spot here earlier, so equal
It's your
time.
turn.
Yeah, so the last Facilities Committee meeting, a lot of it was updates. We talked about the Health and Human Services project a lot. Contracts have been signed with low bidders. All those contracts are back in. We're starting to see, so they have to send in submittals. So that's all the materials that contractors are gonna use. We're starting to see those come back, getting those approved. There are a few items that we're seeing, especially in the heating, air conditioning side of it, that are taking a while to get. So we want to get those ordered. If it happens to take 3 weeks and we have to house them until the project starts, great. I'll take that versus,
Lots of hallways.
well, lots of room outside. We can house them. So yeah, I want to get that stuff coming. So we're working through that. Yesterday we met with Widseth and we are putting out an RFP for furniture to get that piece of it moving. We really don't need to order furniture until around the first of the year, even a little bit after that for timeline for shipping. The thing of it is, a lot of times your increases in prices happen right around the first of the year. So if we know a price increase is coming, we want to be able to, yep, this is what we want, order it, we'll store it until we need it. We're just trying to get ahead of it. So
Even if it'll get shipped here, if it's from somewhere else.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the problem.
Yep. So we want to get it all set, ready to go. We know what furniture we're going to get. We can just pull the trigger when we want to order it. And if we hear of a price increase coming, we can say, "Yep, order it," and we'll figure out where we're going to house it until we need it. So the couple spaces we are looking at leasing in town, I have received lease agreements from both of those places. It is currently at the county attorney, and he is reviewing it. And it will be coming. Those will be coming in front of you at the next board meeting. So.
My only question is, where are they on budget, the lease agreements? Like, I believe we set, what, $50,000 aside?
Yeah, that's what we had set aside a little bit, and they're gonna be probably about 10,000 above that, because we ended up leasing a little more space than we thought. We thought we could have more people in this building, but after talking to the county attorney and talking about data privacy, he said, no, he just said it's not gonna work. We need to house another spot. So that's why it ended up just a little bit above. But with the way our bids came in, our bids did come in a little bit under, so the bottom line is we're still good. A few line items, might come in above. Some line items are coming in below, but overall, we're staying on budget currently.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Shifting away from Health and Human Services, where are we at in the sheriff's garage? The boat.
So everything, we have an architect, a separate structural engineer because of where prices came in. We had a better price from another structural engineer. I've been seeing emails going back and forth. They are just waiting for the state of Minnesota to give a clarification on the insulating of the building. This is something I had brought up a couple meetings ago at facilities. 2025 has a new energy code, and the state has kicked back some other drawings, not ours, but some other ones when they asked to get them approved at the state, and they were talking about insulating all commercial buildings, pole sheds basically is what we're talking about, pole buildings, storage buildings, that they want them all insulated regardless if there's heat in them or not. There's other people that are saying, no, that's not the way it reads. And so we're waiting for a clarification from the state because they will not approve it until we get that clarification. So, but yes, it's, I'm hoping to have answers very shortly so we can get that out for bids. So.
Other facilities-related questions? Just one, the fairgrounds. What's going on down there? I noticed there was an improvement to some cement being poured in one of the display dog and pony show type.
Yeah, so the a while back I think I just mentioned it at a board meeting. We were extending the show arena for the cattle, goat, sheep, pigs. So that was all done through either grants or we did receive a large donation from a local family as well. So the structure was put up. We extended the show arena, and with that, we could extend where the goat, sheep, and hogs are housed during the fair. So that was pouring the cement to extend that part of that show arena. So that will be all up and ready to go for the fair. And then where the Industrial 2 building is going to go, we tore down the old dance hall, and that's going to be where the new Industrial 2 goes. So right now it's looks more like a swimming pool than a place we're going to build.
That's next to the historical?
Correct, between the historical and the children's barn.
Yeah.
Currently looks a little bit like a swimming pool, but that will be filled in before the fair. And then we're working on that Industrial 2, some of the heights of where that's going to go, and so that we'll get that completed and out for bids as well. So,
what happened to the old Tip Top Cafe building that was moved down there from downtown?
Oh, that got taken down. There was a couple people that were they were talking about restoring it and doing things like that. And of course, that was sitting there on half a dozen cement blocks, and the straight line winds came through. Didn't even bother it, but it took out 3 other buildings on the grounds. But yeah, no, it ended up. It was getting to the point it was leaning more and more, and we were just concerned that it was going to fall on its own, and we did not want that. So
yeah,
yep. So
a lot of history to that building.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yep.
So nope, and yeah, in the next meeting, I was gonna come just give a little update on the fair, but the fair will be starting the day after your next meeting. It'll be starting on the 9th. So I know they are looking for people to take tickets at gates, things like that. So if any of the commissioners would like to do that, please contact myself, Kirk Pazer. Yeah,
is Kirk still in charge of the?
He is the treasurer. So,
okay.
Yep.
Would Kathleen be the main person now? Or?
Nope. She directs everything to me because I'm I'm here in the building, so I get it directed to me, and then I send it out from there. So, yep. But yeah, no. So no, the fair is everything's getting good as we sit right now. You can drive all over the fairgrounds, which maybe doesn't sound like a great feat, but compared to last year, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a rough year. I think we ended up spending $6,000 on rock last year just so we could get the rides pulled in and get them set up. So, yeah, hopefully.
It was 3 rides they couldn't even set up because
Correct.
they didn't have enough
Yeah,
solid ground.
not enough solid ground. So, yep. So no.
Weekend, a good turnout with the horse show.
Yeah.
Weekend.
The horse shows are very well attended. Been having a lot of graduation open houses down there. Those have been going well. We've got a couple of weddings. I think we have 3 weddings this year on the schedule. I've had a couple people ask about graduations for next year already, and when I asked those dates from Kirk, I believe we have 4 or 5 already scheduled. So yeah, it's getting used. It's getting used a lot.
That's good.
A lot of the year outside of the fair, which is what we want.
Great. Any other facilities related questions? Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yesterday I had a nice conversation, such as it is, with Kevin Lee of North Memorial Ambulance. Just to get a little legislative update. Not good. There was actually reduction to EMS funding from 30 million down to 16 million.
But they got some funding, which is good.
They got something. And then the formula for that funding is totally revamped. One thing that is gonna hurt rural Minnesota is that there is no longer funding to promote EMTs advancing to paramedics. I won't go into the long changes in formula, but it's not what we hope, but maybe better than what it could have been. And I still anticipate that EMS funding district discussion will be resurrected here at some point in time, at least for the McGregor primary service area.
We get cut 50%, is that?
Pardon?
Yeah, just
We got cut 50%.
Yeah.
So how's that gonna work with the sheriff?
What do you mean?
Well, he gets part of that, he gets what? How much does he get out of that budget?
Out of EMS?
No, AIS.
Oh, AIS, we were talking EMS.
I thought you said AIS.
No, EMS.
Okay.
Sorry, AIS, I think there's what, a 50% reduction in 26? And diminishing from there?
There's no projection of where that's gonna go, where that needle's gonna push. Is it gonna push to the left or the right? We don't know. We're hoping it pushes back and goes, oh, wait a minute, there's a need for this, so.
Yeah.
I mean, AMC's platforms, they're pushing hard as Lori and
To answer your question, Lori, on AIS, currently there's $40,000 of the AIS funds that go directly to the sheriff's office. Commissioner Sample?
Well, we're still waiting to see what the feds are gonna do for EMS.
Right.
For the EMS, yeah.
You know, I mean, because it's not just an Aiken County issue.
No.
It's a
It's the
United States
Everywhere.
wide for rural America.
Yeah.
So there's still push in the House and the Senate to get some of that funding, so hopefully it'll make up some of our shortfalls.
Hopefully.
Okay, anything else? Not, thanks, everybody. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Commissioner Western moves adjournment, support.
Support.
Commissioner Carney supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,